now we have James with us, and James is not the first time here. He's such a profound and good speaker that we wanted to have him again, all on his own without Gareth.
Yeah,
I'm just joking. We're always happy to have Gareth as well, and just
yeah.
and
Before James go on, I just very quickly, sponsors' money are extremely important for us. Sponsors basically bring in us half of the money we managed to raise, half of the money raised for small donations, and half of the money from sponsors. Yeah, if you look at the whole year, so it's extremely important. Half of the money comes from sponsors, and James. Actually, James Company is one of the sponsors, one of the big sponsors. It's not because of the James is here, but James, thank you very much for being here with us
Happy to be here.
and for being a sponsor.
Yeah, of course.
you
Thank you for having me.
You can start sharing your screen. I'll just very briefly introduce James once again. James has over 25 years of experience in SEO and digital marketing. That's huge amount of time. And he's still happy about doing it, I think so. And James leads strategy and innovation across Citation Labs products and services. And also he helps companies to build visibility, authority, and measurable ROI, which is also very important in this age of AI where we don't understand where the money is going and what to do with that. I'm hoping to hear James today about from link gaps to prompt wins, a perfectly practitioner framework for AI search with visibility. So if you're looking to build AI search visibility, listen carefully. You are in for lots of interesting stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Hello.
All right. Hi. Yes. Hello to all of us, the three of us. Yes. Hello. Awesome. I'm very excited to be here. I'm frustrated at the same time on a number of levels, and I want to share a little bit of that frustration here at the start, and then I'll jump into all these. I'll just leave this up for a minute. I'll jump into all this, but I do want to share a framework. It's the framework that Garrett has been working off of and developing for essentially decades, starting with some early concepts of a purchase decision committee that's involved behind the scenes, behind the keyboard and the screen of every person that's out there searching for a product or a service. We're trying to attract that, that ICP, that ideal customer profile, but really there's an entire committee around that person, whether it's someone looking for a dog leash, someone looking to donate funds to support animal rescue shelters for animals that have been misplaced with this horrible conflict that's been raging for far too long and never should have started in the first place in Ukraine, and any other type of purchase, including complex business to business purchase decisions, subscriptions, et cetera, et cetera. There's always someone behind the scenes, and to enable that ideal customer profile that will be the one visiting the page of a site. And I'll just pull up this Rolda site here, which this site has some visibility around donating funds to help animals in Ukraine, but it's not a Ukrainian organization itself. I couldn't find one that would allow me to run some of the tools that require certain permissions. So I found this one that does have some visibility and seems to have some credibility and trust as well. Although I'm not totally sure about that, and I'll dig into why as part of what I unpack today around this framework. But I want to talk about the frustration for a second, or for a minute, because I'm still in San Diego. Garrett and Lee Elliott, who will be speaking later today, and I and several other members of the team, including the ZipSprout team, which focuses on hyperlocal sponsorships to community and nonprofit organizations in the U.S. and Canada. And hopefully getting to Europe soon and beyond. We just are finishing up with Brighton SEO San Diego. And it was a great show with lots of great connections, but also some frustrations. And I'd like to just share a couple of those frustrations now, because it's relevant to the discussion around this framework to gain more visibility in AI tools. And the frustration is, wow, the talks were all over the place. Some of them were great. Some of them felt pretty basic, and there's an audience for that for sure. Some of them felt like a little bit concerning around what are the main takeaways going to be from this talk, because many of them focused on AI generated content. And I just want to exercise a word of caution here and illustrate how this can be done well, and maybe how we want to think twice about before we employ an AI tool to help us generate content. Because one of the most, on the level of frustration, one of the most frustrating things about link building, since Citation Labs is a link building agency, is a lack of citable content, citable elements on a page that would justify a publisher, any publisher out there, we think about a publisher as any website that might link to a client site or our site, etc. And it's frustrating to not see relevant content, just relevant content, let alone something that is unique, first-party data, something that would actually warrant being shared, for example, in an AI tool. And since we're talking about AI visibility and a framework around it, this is really important, because if we're not providing extra value, why would that AI tool that's going to do that query fan out and go pull all of those variations of queries that it thinks that's trying to predict might be relevant to its response that it's going to build for my prompt, if I don't have anything germane, useful, relevant, unique, and helpful to that in that prompt response, there's no reason for them to include my page, my site, my snippet or chunk, or as we call them, echo blocks. Internally, we call them echo blocks, something that Garrett has coined. If we're not providing those, there's no reason for them to include us in the prompt response. Ergo, there's no reason for us to get visibility from that AI tool in the prompts that we want, the prompt responses that we want to show up in. So using this Roll to Site, which is a Romanian organization that has quite a bit of content dedicated to rescuing animals in Ukraine, it doesn't have that much visibility. And so I want to use this as my example. And I'll just walk you through this framework. I'm going to show you a few different tools. Let me see if this one finished running. This one didn't finish running yet. This was a bunch of these that I ran from visits to our booth at the conference. It's free tool, or there's a free version tier of this. Go to xofu.com, xofu.com, and you can set up your own project, run it. Hopefully by the end of this, it will finish running. I was a little late on kicking that off, but I kicked this one off earlier. This is another free tool, linkaunch.com. This is all part of the framework, and so go use these tools. And I ran this on several pages of this site that's dedicated to animal rescue, and has quite a bit of content focused on the conflict in Ukraine. And so I wanted to see how they stood up from a backlink perspective, because one of the first things that I want to know when I'm sitting down in a sales presentation environment is, does this site, do these pages even need more links in the first place? Because so often content is such a challenge, and hey, if they don't need backlinks, great. We're not going to try to force them into an engagement if they don't need them in the first place. But generally speaking, probably 7 times out of 10, they do. And that certainly was the case here. A lot of these pages don't have any backlinks that were discovered in the first place. And I'm using SEMrush, Data for SEO, and Paws as my data partners here. And so I'm looking, we've tried to make this easy. Red is not great for this particular page. Green is showing that this page is best in class, essentially, for this particular metric. So domain gap, the number of referring domains this page has compared to the number of referring domains the top 10 competitors have for each of the keywords in the analysis, and that you can drill down to another level and see those. I'm just going to stay here because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this particular screen, but I grabbed a bunch of pages. I wanted to see how they stood up, and pretty much all of the pages, except for the ones I didn't find, and one here has the home page. Great, that's great. That may not be where an AI tool is going going to go grab information from those. So, and home pages are often short on content. So that doesn't really bode well necessarily for this organization. We want this organization to gain visibility. And so a bunch of other metrics here. I'm not going to try to sell you on this tool. It's free. Just go sign up for the beta, or you can use the sneak peek and just run one URL, no questions asked, no registration. Check it out and then scroll to the bottom and sign up for the free beta if you want to get a bunch of credits, run your own stuff. The takeaway here is not a lot of best in class scenarios here, with the exception of, actually, let me see. And this mostly because, let me see, fine. Okay, so here's one. With the exception of, okay, of the links that they do have for some of these pages, they actually have a pretty good link to referring domain ratio here. And that's just a sort of a qualitative adjacent metric that I like to use at a glance to get a sense for what's the quality of these backlinks, which, without going through and filtering out anything spammy and, you know, looking at things like that, which is a huge amount of time. I have a few qualitative adjacent metrics that I like to look at. This is one of them, links per referring domain. This looks at, it compares the title of the pages to the anchor text that was used when we discovered the link, kind of thing. It looks like they're kind of healthier there. That's a positive thing as well. So qualitatively, of the links they do have, they look like they're probably better quality. But they are not competitive with their backlink profiles. How could we help that? Well, that comes back to what I mentioned before about citable elements on the page. It's not a bad page. The one I analyzed was this rescue team subdomain page. Donate now to save Ukrainian animals from war. That seems like pretty relevant and germane to what I'm looking for here. It's a relatively thin page. There's not that much content on it. It's got some good call outs. It's nice to give shout outs on there. Nothing wrong with that. If people want to see their names, you know, showing up there, it does prioritize donations. Okay, that's good. It's got it on a couple of pages a little bit, but you know, one of the concerns that I found out as I go through this framework, I'll just share in just a second here. One of the concerns I found out is through this process is how do I know? And this was new to me. I didn't have these concerns, but I'll show you the framework and how I discovered them. How do I know this is a trustworthy website to donate to? How do I know what my donations are going to go to? You know, based on these micro amounts here. Is it even going to matter? Is this even going to, you know, make a dent, kind of thing? So, okay. Those were some of the things that were discovered through this framework that's all available for free. Garrett just gave a 20-minute presentation on it yesterday at Brighton SEO. That'll be available. The deck is already available. You can download that and go through everything. And this is a good thing to this is a good QR code to grab, because this is the framework that I'm about to show you, which is a guide to discovering the solutions for what we call friction-inducing latent unasked questions. We used to call them fuchs, or if you pronounce the U as an and you get fucks, we got in a little bit of hot water with using that. Some people didn't like it, so we went back to the drawing board, and Garrett came with something which is much more detail focused and relevant to what we're really doing, which is trying to identify where friction is involved in a purchase transaction or a conversion of some kind, and how we can remove those friction points in order to facilitate that conversion. And so some of the friction points that I discovered in this framework, which is all available via a guide, which is right here below where you can get the presentation, all available in this guide here, where it just walks you through step by step using prompts. It's not one prompt you load in and you get a written page, page of copy to add to your site. That's not what we're doing here, and that's my concern about the Brighton conference. So many of the talks hinted at maybe things being that easy. And so I did it. I did this process. I ran this process for this particular page on this site. It took me about an hour. Let me see how far I got. It's getting pretty close. Okay, so it's getting pretty close to being done. So I'm going to talk you through the framework, and then I'm going to show you what I did in this framework to run the framework for this particular page. So here's the framework. You just go to this QR code right here. I'll give it here for 5 seconds. and just follow the steps. You got to personalize the prompts a little bit. It's written from the perspective of an agency doing this for a client, which is pretty relevant because that agency is, if there's a content component to their engagement, they're not going to understand the offering as well as an in-house SEO would, necessarily. So there's probably a steeper learning curve from that perspective. And so the guide, which is right here, it's not that difficult of a URL. The guide is from the perspective of an agency. So you got to tweak it a little bit if you're an in-house. You got to tweak it a little bit if you're a contractor. We could probably anonymize it a little bit more, might work on that, but it's just small tweaks to these prompts. So you just follow the steps. It's really easy. It takes about an hour for a page. And this was the second time kind of I've gone through it. So it's not like I've done 100 of these and have it down super fast. It's really not that long of a process, but it is not about taking a single prompt and dropping it into your AI tool of choice and generating a page of content. Okay, let me just talk you through the process. You save your page, the HTML from your page, just from your browser menu bar. You then upload it into this custom GPT, parse practitioner aligned, something, I don't remember what it's called. It doesn't matter. It's right here. You just go to the URL, you click parse GPT. It's going to open in a new tab. And now you have this custom GPT to work from. That's what I did. And then I started with the prompts that are right here on the page. So all you have to do is follow along, tweak the things that you want to tweak. It just goes 1, 2, 3, 4. I think they're like, okay, so there are 3 prompts in this first step. Great, you do the first, first you download the thing, you upload it, then you start going one at a time, and the order matters, and dumping it all in is not a solution. So you just follow the steps. This is the framework. All you have to do is follow along. Here's step 2. Just go through, add the prompts, follow the instructions. Occasionally there are steps in between the prompts. Okay, this is where the magic happens. I didn't have any of this for this site. All I did was ask ChatGPT in this custom GPT to just go find reviews, discussion forum posts, and pull those back in terms of what is being expressed in those that user-generated content in terms of challenges for this particular scenario. In this case, donating to an organization that's helping with save animals in Ukraine. And so all I did was ask the GPT to find that for me. It's in here, and if anybody wants this, I can share the whole thing, and hopefully the organization itself will want to see this and take some of these ideas. Also, there are a number of examples in Garrett's presentation as well. So you can just follow along one at a time, and you'll find some of the example outputs. This goes through all of the whys, down all of the rabbit holes. It gives examples about what the outputs might look like. It's all in here. So these frameworks are nice. This is nice, organized, structured content that could be super relevant for an AI tool to pull into a prompt response. There's a vein of gold in here. If you're struggling at all with content or earning backlinks to your pages, this is a vein of gold in here. Highly recommend just following the prompt, following the steps here. And I didn't even go deep. I don't have any of these things. These would all take it to a much, much deeper level. I'm just using publicly available information and organizing in a way that an AI tool could pick up and raise visibility in prompt responses for whatever brand you represent, the one you work for, your client, et cetera, et cetera. So let me just kind of walk through the process here. Enter a prompt, I get a response. This is pretty straightforward. I enter the next prompt, I get a response. Okay, the first couple, it's not really producing anything that gives me too much information until we start digging into this framework, and it gets pretty interesting. So now we start identifying not only who the main stakeholders are, which is sort of what it's talking about here, frontline implementers, organizational stewards, and donors, which is really what I'm after in this particular case, mission-driven individual donors, which overlaps very similarly to this amazing organization that SEOcharity that's put this webinar together. I think this is the third one that we've sponsored and plan to continue because it's needed. And so now we start to now we start to get down to who our key stakeholder is, who we want to make sure that we're targeting and removing friction for. So we're going to come up with these anecdotes to be able to address concerns, alleviate concerns that this particular stakeholder, our target audience, may have questions about. And they may have, it may be that they don't even know what the questions are. They don't know the questions to ask. And so the friction is unknown. It's essentially undefined. And that's what we're trying to do, is define it and resolve it. And so, where does my gift go, kind of thing. A case study might be really nice. A micro story. What will the funds be used for? How will this organization roll to use these funds? We could go deep here, and we could have impact reports. We could have financial audits. There could be charity ratings, a visual diagram of where the money goes, how it's used. All these things were surfaced early on in this process. And this is a long conversation, just to give you a sense for what this looks like. Here's another example. It wouldn't download for me, so I asked it to do it again, and I get this nice table. I could just take this table and put it down below a couple of scrolls, and it could be meaningful for AI models. Okay, but we don't stop there. It goes a lot deeper. I wanted to get down to the point where I had something actionable, something if I were building a presentation, I could just put together in a slide deck and send to the company, to the organization. And I'm going to do that for Rolda as well. See if they get any value out of this, because I think they could increase their conversions on their donation page if they showed me some of these things that clearly are friction points in the process. And here are examples of what they might add to the site, different ways it's breaking down. Enter another prompt. This is where I said, okay, it came up with a bunch of data sets that I could use, and I said, let's assume we're limited to just what can be found online. And there's a bunch of great stuff just based on what can be found online. Okay. Even if you never touch private interviews, et cetera, here's what we could do. UX studies, watchdog reviews, community discussions, journalism, NGO comparisons, et cetera. Okay, great. So now let's go deeper in it. And all I'm doing is I'm doing exactly what I want you to do, which is just follow the steps. It walks you through all of the steps. I skipped ahead here. I went kind of quickly through these, but because I'm still kind of midstream here with my prompts, but all you have to do is add the prompt, it generates some stuff, then it uses that for the next step. You give it some feedback, and you walk it through this multi-prompt chain in order to get down to, okay, I'm going to skip ahead. I've got 7 minutes left. By the way, Olga's was great. I didn't catch the whole thing. I think I followed her last time. It's always great stuff. I hope that you guys do that separate webinar with her, because it's amazing, and subscribe to her newsletter, all the things. It's really awesome. Okay. Coming down here, let me just keep going. All you have to do is follow the steps. Now it starts to get actionable. Now I'm starting to understand really where the value is for this. So we just keep going. New prompt, keep going. And then what I did was I said, okay, great. I'm gonna skip down here. You can see everything that's happening, and start to get down to the bottom. Okay, cool. So here I printed the screen as a PDF. I upload the current page. I just took the current page and uploaded it as a PDF. And I said, and it already had the HTML. I gave it to it earlier in the process. And I said, make some reasonable assumptions. This is probably really small text wise. Make some reasonable assumptions. I did it one too many times. Sorry. Okay. Make some reasonable assumptions about the values might be for these areas of friction that if we solve for, will very likely, it certainly would, it would incentivize me I would be much more comfortable making a donation. What those would look like in visual mockups, so that I can, actually I said, just give me mockups. So it mocked up the code. I already gave it the HTML, so it mocked up the code for all of these things. Here we're starting to talk about it. What would $13? These were the tiers that it already suggests on the page. 13, 25, 125, 250. What would that look like? What would $13 give? Now I'd of course have to validate this with the organization, make sure that $13 does give 2 days of food. I don't know if that's true. $25, maybe that's too low for vaccines plus a checkup, but maybe it's enough. $125 for emergency surgery to repair an injury, et cetera. So it gave me the code right here. It may not be perfect. Maybe I need to just pull out the text and put it into WordPress or whatever the site is. I didn't check to see what the site was built on.
Sorry, James. Our shelters they said $35 per month per animal.
Is that what it is? Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
So they could call that out in a visual way. So then I just said, ChatGPT, give me some visuals. I need to make this pitch. What would that look like? One of the things were trust elements. So, whatever this would look like, these badges or some sort of trust elements from other organizations to show the trustworthiness. Olga mentioned EEAT signals. That's what we're doing here. What does your gift do? It goes to food delivered and animals rescued and treated and fed, et cetera, et cetera. And then I just started, okay, so take this list of things that could add these elements, remove this friction. And then I just said, okay, start generating graphics for me using the styles of the page already. Here's this one. Here's another one, long-term impact. Here's what Anton just mentioned. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't even get all the way through. I just kept asking them, okay, generate the next one, generate the next one. I don't know why I didn't generate all of them. I asked for it to generate all of them. But so that's the process. Walk through the framework. It will help you understand who you really are targeting early on in this process, who you're targeting, what is going to solve their friction points, even that they don't even know to ask yet. What's going to solve their friction points, what you do with those friction points once you have them. All of this is outlined in this guide. Everything that you need, here's a sample friction source that's built for you, but this is where you would get those friction points from, the true friction points that would be net, unique, first-party data that's adding value, that's offering value to the AI model in order to inform their prompt response, which will in turn generate the visibility for your page, for your brand, etc. So all you have to do is just follow along with these steps. Some of them might take a little bit longer, like actually pulling these. You might have to set up a notebook LM or something in order to comb through, to scrub through your customer service logs or support call transcripts. But do that hard work. Anonymize it, of course, no PII, et cetera, et cetera. We all know that, but do the hard work. Help me be less frustrated at the next conference because we have deep, actionable insights that are offered in our talks that won't just incentivize someone just to go use an AI model just to generate a page of content. Do the hard work. It took me an hour, and the end result, I was informed. I am somebody who is looking to help out animals. I'm an animal lover myself. And so I'm looking to help out organizations that are doing. That's why I'm on this. That's why I'm on this webinar today. And so I wanted to use it as an example of a way that you can make your content on your pages linkable. That's essentially what this is. Citable to a publisher, earn links naturally. And if you need more links, if you go to these free tools and it says, wow, you need more links than you think you can get just by making your content citable, then find somebody who's trustworthy in the SEO community that builds links and ask them for some help. These tools are designed to be a DIY where this is exactly what we do internally. It's just not me that usually does the entire process, but this is what we do. And so we're not holding anything back. This is full transparency here. If you want to make your content citable, this is the process. Here's the framework for you. You can just follow along through the steps and go get some backlinks. That's it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, James. It was wonderful.
Thanks,
You were
everyone.
just in time. I wish, just need to switch off the chat. I wish I could ask you a bit more questions about these tools and everything you've done. And you've mentioned you can share this ChatGPT process, yes?
Yes, it's all in there. If you grab that QR code, or I can send it
Oh, okay.
later, but it's all in there. All the things that I used, all the things that I showed are all in that guide.